And there we have some wood for the roof. Yeah. 2x12s, 2x6s, and 2x4s. So finally, a forklift that drives sideways. I always wondered why they didn't have these, but I guess they got one now. Makes sense for long wood and long driveways. Oh boy. So, got a lot of work ahead of me. Turn all that into a new roof. Alright guys, welcome. So this episode, as you saw in the little intro videos there, I got wood delivered for the roof. So, gonna start putting the roof on, finally. I thought this was gonna be another month or two before I was gonna be able to buy the wood, but got it. So basically what I ordered was all of the 2x12s that are gonna be for the rafters. So some 24-foot ones to go over this section. Well, I'll explain this in a second. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to work. So that is all my 2x4s and 2x6s. That is 40 2x4s and 12 2x6s, all 12 feet long. The 2x4s are all going to be used for the purlins. 2x6s are going to be used to build up this wall because I got to take this up another 2 feet to get my 12-4 roof that I'm looking for. These are the 24-foot 2x12s. Man, those are heavy. I just got done moving all of this stuff in. As you saw, the forklift dropped it off right there. 24-foot 2x12s. Those are 16-foot 2x12s. So the 24-foot 2x12s are going to be the 2x12s that span this area here. So this is all going to be solid rafters from the top wall, the back wall to the front wall. And it's going to have a somewhere around a 3.5 foot overhang. I don't know exactly how it is until I actually, get one up there and start measuring, but I have to do, build that wall up first. And the 16-foot 2x12s are going to be for this portion of the roof because the main roof is only going to come over to where I'm going to be putting the wall for the office. So that's where the main roof rafter will stop. And then the wall, front wall of the office here, I guess this would be the south wall of the office, will get built up, and then the roof will continue from that wall down to the front wall, and it'll be, of course, at the same level as the 24-footers that are back here. So once I get these across, I'll know the angle, then I can get this wall up and then get that attached and then have the rafters going down this way. So that is basically all of the 2x12s that I'm going to need for this, and a few extras because I think I ended up getting 2 or 3 extras because I'm going to need to put in blocking. So I'm going to have the 2x12 blocking in between all of these rafters, and I'm going to be putting these 16-inch on center. And I know that's going to be super strong, maybe even overkill, but I want the roof to be really strong. It is free span, and I do plan on putting solar panels on here. So the roof will actually end up having some support though, because when this wall is built up here and the wall built up here, it'll kind of have a mid-span support out to this point. So the space from here to over here, I think is a little over 10 feet. Might be 12 feet even. I don't know, I gotta measure it. So this really will be the only section of the roof that's completely free span. Yeah, so I'm excited to get started on this. I don't know if this is going to end up being a couple parts because I really doubt that I'm going to be able to get all this in one video, but we'll see how it goes. So the next step, of course, is going to be building that wall up there and then getting a 2x12 up here and running it so that I can get my markings for the cutouts and make a template. Okay, so I'm up here on the mezzanine level, just checking this out to see what I'm going to have to do to get this 2-foot riser put in. I mean, this is pretty much going to require me to dismantle the entire roof. So this will be a bit of work because I have to be able to, I guess, put the roof back on until I actually, you know, start getting the rafters cut. Really, boys? Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna have to keep the roof on, or the tarp, until the rafters are actually starting to get cut. And actually, even once the rafters are installed, the tarp is gonna go back on until I'm ready to buy metal. It'll definitely make a big difference though, because I won't have any issues with puddling or anything like that, because 16-inch on center rafters and then purlins every 2 feet. It's going to just be small, basically compartments, so there's not really going to be any place for water to build up and puddle. And then I can also, at that point, attach the tarp just to the end, to the overhang, and not actually have it tied down to the sidewalk below. So I think I'm going to just start. I'm going to make these 2 sections because they're just going to be a 2-foot, and then, you know, 16-inch on center. And I think I'm going to make it in 2 sections. So I'll do like probably a 8 or 10-foot section, and then I'll do, I think this whole span is going to end up being about 17.5 feet. So I'll do probably a 10-foot section and a 7.5-foot section. All right, so I have these pieces prepped. I have my 7.5-foot piece, and then I have my 10-foot piece, and then I have all my middle pieces to give me my 2-foot wall. So let's get these put together. All right, so these sections are done. What I need to do now is I need to start unhooking all of this stuff. The 45s that I have going out that's holding the bar, I need to take all the screws out of those. I got to unhook the ropes on the outside here on the tarp, also on that side over there. Yeah. So let me start getting all this stuff disconnected. And then this 7.5-foot piece is the piece that's going to go up here, just because that'll be easier for me to lift up on the ladder to put up there. The 10-foot piece I can take up on the mezzanine and bring up there and then lift into place up there. So it'll be easier. All right, so back up here at the mezzanine. Boy, let me sit down. So I have all of these, the 45s that I had going out here holding the tarp. They are still on the pole. The pole's still attached, if you can see there. I'm leaving them on there just because I want weight on it. The rope on that side, on the outside, I loosened up, and all the bungees are off. All the screws are off on these 2x6s that were up here. So it's basically ready to lift up. I think I'm going to start with the short piece down there, the 7.5-foot piece. Of course, I'm going to have to be standing on a ladder to get that up in place. But I'm going to start with that one, and then I'll bring the 10-foot piece up here on the mezzanine to this spot, and then I'll lift it up into place. And hopefully this goes pretty smooth. So we'll see. Whew, that was difficult. So that side is up. It's actually fully secured in with screws. So now I'm going to move to this section. I'm going to take this piece up to the mezzanine and then basically just slide it in place. I'm going to have to change all my supports because obviously they're not going to reach now. and get this roof straightened out. Yeah, this seems so big now. So high. I mean, that's a 12-foot ladder. You know, it's essentially 14 feet now. So, yeah, that's pretty big. At least I'll be able to walk on the mezzanine now without having to bend over like I'm in a Learjet or something. Oh, hi guys. So if I come up to the mezzanine, they want to come up to the mezzanine. Oh, good job, Skull. Just lay down. All right, so all of this is up. I have basically the roof raised and braced. I have like all of these 45s back secured in. I put a higher piece here in the corner. You can see I have the tarp pulled back. Whew. A little out of breath. So you can see I have the tarp pulled back on this side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of my 24-foot 2x4s, put it up here, and then start marking it out so that I can get my measurements for the cutouts for the birds' mouths and the, you know, where to chop the top at, where to cut the bottom. The bottom is going to end up having part of it cut off, so I'm not going to have a 2x12 overhang. So wherever this ends on the front wall, it'll probably get cut up, maybe rounded, and I might do some kind of a pattern or something, I don't know. But basically so that the end will end up being probably a 2x8, maybe even a 2x6. We'll see what it ends up being. Just because I don't need that for the overhang, that's massive. So we'll see how it pans out. And back to the sun. All right, well that is pretty close to what I'm looking at for my roof profile. So I basically did like a little brace there. So it's not actually attached at the bottom because I needed to be able to slide it. The top is just being held on by a clamp. That's a heavy piece of wood, so I'm not going to leave it up there too long. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. So basically what I'm going to do now, it's on the end of the building. So it's basically against the end of the building. So what I'm going to be able to do is to go on the inside and actually trace a line on the front wall, and then trace a line on the top cap up there. And then that'll give me my cutouts. And then I also have my square up there so that I can do a straight line up from the middle of the 2x6 that's up there of the wall. All right, so I'm up top. This is a little tricky to film, but basically what I'm doing, like I said, I'm gonna put my square in the center, and then I'm gonna trace a line up to up here where my finger is. And then that'll give me my vertical cut for the beams. And then I have a block of wood here because I don't have my second top cap on yet, so that's going to simulate the second top cap. And then I will just trace around that block and around the front. And that'll give me my bird's mouth for the upper wall. All right, so I got all my lines marked up there. Hopefully that's showing up. And the line here. So the top side is marked. Now I gotta go mark the bottom. All right, and there's the marking on the front side. If it's showing, there you go. So this thing is marked. I can take it down now. Okay, I have this side put back together. I have the tarp reconnected down to the rebar by the sidewalk. I need to pour that sidewalk one of these days because it's kind of annoying it not being there. So this is all up. I have my piece here with my cutout. So this is the front wall. And then hopefully it's light enough in here. And this is the back wall, top wall. So what I'll end up doing is I'll figure out what this angle is, and then that's going to be the same that I cut off the front side. so that it matches. And then that way I have a, you know, perpendicular to the ground or parallel to the wall, however you want to look at it, to put my fascia. So this, of course, is I'm going to do cutouts every 2 feet on here for the purlins to lay into. Just like if you guys saw when I built the shed, that's how I did the rafters in the shed too. So I do basically a 1.5 inch by 3.5 inch cutout, and then the purlin, which is a 2x4, will lay down in and it'll be flush. That way I have a lot more solid roof for when I'm up there walking on it. It's not just, you know, it's going to be bowing in between the purlins if I put them on top. So I don't really want to do that. The other option is that I go back and I put in pieces of 2x4 on top of all these to bring it up to the level of the purlins. Most people don't really care about that. They just put the purlins on, put the metal on. But I just want it to be super solid. So next I'll be getting these cut out. And then I'm actually going to end up transferring this to a shorter board. So I'm basically going to have this cut out, and then whatever I end up doing as far as a design on this, it may just be something very simple. I don't know. I got to figure out what I want to do with this. So this is going to be the rafter tail, basically what will be hanging off the front of the shop. I would like to have something that's a little more decorative, but I'll see what's going to happen. Yeah. So that will all be part of the template that cuts this bird's mouth out. And then that'll be one end of the short piece of wood. On the other end, I will have the cutout for that end, because that's going to be just a very small section of cutout. So that way I have a short 2x12 piece that I can use for a template to mark all these, because trying to move these things around is a real pain. And I have limited space, as you can see. I can't really just be spreading all these out and, you know, yeah, so I'll figure that out. So I think I figured out a design that I like in the black Sharpie here. Don't pay attention to the pencil marks because that's when I was figuring it out. So right here is going to be the top of the front wall. That's the cutout for that. And then here, circle, circle. And then in the front, this is where the 2x6 fascia board will go on, about right there. So I think that's the design I like. So I got to get this cut out, and then I'm going to make a template from this one on a shorter piece of a 2x12, and then I will transfer that to all the rest. And there it is. Pretty cool design, I think. So now I just got to do 20 more, something like that. All right, so I have my template made, and like I said, I was going to do this out of a shorter piece. So from basically right here, this way is going to be the exposed rafter tail that's going to be at the front of the shop. This cutout here is on the top wall in the back, so that's sitting on top of the wall, and then that's the edge going up. This will basically be the peak of the roof right here. So this is all done. Now I just have to start transferring and cutting, transferring, cutting, blah, 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 blah. So that's going to take a while. One thing different on the template, as you can see right here where the line is coming across, this is actually going to be the cutoff, but this piece is here as a reference point so that I line that up with the end of the board so that they're all marked the same distance. So when I actually cut this one out, it was about 1/4 inch back from the edge of the board. So that's what this little flat edge here represents. That's the edge of the board. So I will get to work on these. All right, man. So I have 6 of these cut with the rafter tail. And basically what I'm doing is I'm repositioning them and actually spinning them around and putting them up on these blocks. This is actually the top side. That edge, this is basically the peak right here. So I'm getting this set up so that I can come in and start cutting my grooves for the purlins. So I'm going to do 6 of them first, and that way I can put up 5. I'll keep one down here to transfer the purlin cutout, to the next set. So that's where I am now. Yeah, these things are hard to work with because they're so long. All right, so I got all these positioned, and then I'm basically just moving my clamp down. So all the way down on the end there, I actually screwed a board in to each one of the rafter boards. It's kind of hard to see because it's right in front of the other wood, but I screwed a 2x6 into the ends so that they're all flush together. And then I basically just went with clamps down here. You can see my lines that I've drawn. There's a clamp. And then I'm basically going on, so I marked off my 2-foot mark, starting at the end up there where I did the first one. And then what I do is I pretty much just eyeball it, and I put my 2x4 in the middle, and then I put a line on either side with the pencil, and then I use the square to put the line across all the boards. And I use the 2x4 just so it's a better, rather than just measuring 3.5 inches, in case there's a little bit of, it's an 1/8 inch over or whatever. And then I also make sure that I slip a 2x4 into this channel once I cut it, just to make sure that it fits, because I don't want to be up on the roof trying to get a 2x4 to fit into these slots. Okay, that's my last marking there. There won't be one here because this is going to be the top of the front wall. If you can see the little cutout there, this is going to be the top of the 2x6 on the front wall. So there will end up being a piece of blocking right here. So that's my 2-foot mark, which is that line there. So the piece of blocking will end up being like right here. So that's just where the mark will be. And then there will be a piece of fascia board at the end over there. And I think I'm probably going to end up doing some tongue and groove pine on the top of this, so that when you look underneath, you'll see the pine boards, and then they'll all be painted white, of course. So, yep, these are ready to cut. So, these ones are getting cut up. Just got to clean these up, and then get ready to make the back half. All right, so I got all these done. I got all of the spots cleared out using a chisel to clean it all up. Basically, this is what I'm looking for right here. So the 2x4, I mean, this is just cut off, of course, but my purlins will be a 2x4, and I'm basically looking for that kind of a fit so that the purlin will be pretty much flush with the rafters. So that way when I go to put my metal roof on, it'll be, a lot nicer fit. All right, so I got the first 2x6 cut, and I have the markings here for the purlins to go in, because there will be purlins on the backside too. And basically how this is going to fit together, which it'll go just like that, and then I'm going to make a piece that's going to fill this triangle and basically be kind of like a support coming out this way. So it'll be another 2x6 that'll have a cutout for the wall 2x6, if that makes sense. And then these will go together with some of these mesh tabs. So they have these spikes on them, if you can see that. Then you basically, put this stuff together on a flat spot, and then you pound this in to all the pieces, and it basically just ties it together. So that will create the truss. And then, like I said, there will be a piece here that will fill this space, so it'll come out to basically what a 2x6 would be sitting in here. I don't have one handy, but so there will be a little bit of a cutout here, which will come all the way out to this to support it. And then that will have some screws going up, and then the mesh plate will be here. And then that will be a complete truss, basically. All right, so I got this put together now. I mean, not put together, but I have a bottom piece here that I cut with the same angle, and basically, it's kind of hard to see the line, but there will be a cutout here and here. This is where the 2x6 wall will be, so this is going to be the top of the wall. And then I'm still trying to decide how I'm going to do this, you know, to tie this into there. But this piece doesn't need to go all the way out here, so I'll probably bring it out about 12 inches or so, which I think is, you know, pretty close to this point, and then just cut it up. That way I can add a couple screws in here. Then this plate will be on here. There will be one of these on the top and the bottom to hold all that together. So, and then of course there will be cutouts the exact same distance here. For the purlins on this side, there will be 2 purlins, you know, one about 6 inches down and then 2 feet. And then there will be the fascia board down at the end down there. Oh, the dog's life. So I have all of my pieces cut for the rear short roof. 2 slots in there for the purlins. I have my one clamped up here. I got this piece cut. So that's basically going to fit in like that. I'll put a couple screws in here, and then of course this mesh piece is going to tie all that together on both sides. That's my cutout for the wall, for the 2x6 wall. And I basically just made a template, and then all of my cutoffs from doing my decorative rafter tail were big enough that I can make these pieces out of those without having to cut into a new 2x6. So that's cool. When you're doing stuff like this, you want to have a template, and you want to always use that template. You don't want to trace one, cut it, and then use that to trace the next one, and so on, because you're going to get off. So you always want to use the same template for everything. That way it'll be as close as you can get it. I have to make 14 of these in total for these long ones. So, yeah. All right, so there's my first truss built. Yeah, those things are difficult to get in. You really have to pound the crap out of them. And then obviously I flipped it over so that I could get this side in better, because putting it in from the other side didn't really get it all the way in there. So this is going to be my first truss going up, and this one's actually going to be pretty critical. So it's going to be the first one on the end of the building here, and then it's also going to be tied in to the beams coming up. So this wall is going to get built up into this truss. So I'm going to pull this tarp back, and this section of piping here is probably going to actually get removed, because we'll have to see how it goes, because I have basically 5 truss, so there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out to this one. So these are 16 inches on center, so the truss is basically going to follow those minus this joint here, but this one to this one is 16, or like 16 and a half, something like that. So the truss are basically just going to go right on top of these, just for the extra strength. Okay, so I have everything opened up here. I think all I'm going to get done in this video is just getting the first one up, and then hopefully getting this wall built, because I know it's already like 23 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't know. So I have a brace board up there, and then I also have one right here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to, put one end up over, and then I'll lift the other end up and over, and then clamp it to that board. And then from there, I'll work on starting to build this wall. All right, there we go. So that is pretty much the profile of the roof. I do need to add my second top cap up there, so this will raise up, about 1.5 inches more. I need to get that cut and slide it into place. But yeah, pretty sweet. This is the first truss going in. All right, so I'm starting to put these vertical beams in. and then I'm basically just going to work my way all the way down to the end. And then there will be a top cap that goes on here that I'll actually secure the truss to as well. Once I start getting these in, then I think I'm just going to use a 2x4. I don't think I'm going to use a 2x6 because the 2x6 will be sticking out. So most likely just a 2x4 on top of there just to lock everything in even tighter. I'm sure there's probably a proper way that you're supposed to do this, but I don't know. This just makes sense to me, so I'm not a framer. So, of course, it was a nice sunny day, and then all of a sudden it started raining. So, what do you expect? Hawaii. I got the tarp pulled back over the end, so at least I can continue on these vertical pieces. And there it is. So I guess I finished up a lot off camera. I just, started working getting these beams up, getting the rafter tied in, and then of course getting the tarp put back in place. So this first beam is completely done. Everything is totally locked in. There will be a piece of blocking that will go up here that this top 2x4 will tie into up there. But other than that, that's going to be the last vertical spacing beam that's going to go in there. Yeah, this looks pretty awesome, having this wall finished. Of course, I will be adding house wrap on the outside. You can see all the cutouts for the purlins every 2 feet. Yeah, man, this is really cool. So, looking at the back, which you probably can't see that well, to see the back rafter coming off. There's a couple of strawberry guava right here. I'm probably going to have to take those down because it's just, it's right at the corner of where the roof is, and the roof is actually going to extend out too once the purlins go out, because there's going to be like a 4-foot overhang on this side of the building. But that is it. This is done. Everything's back together. So I know I'm like past 30 minutes now on this video, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, so yeah, a lot of work. Looks awesome. Another big step done. That is of course the hardest one. As I get these other truss built, they'll be able to literally just be put up into place and then secured in, and it'll go much quicker. So this is going to be part 1 of the roof build. This will probably end up being like 3 parts, I'm guessing, at least 3 parts, because the next part will be continuing with the trusses. And basically I want to get all of the 24-foot trusses done up to where the office wall is going to be pretty much. So that's 14 in all, so I have 13 more to do. I have 4 more that are ready to go up because I had 5 total that I was working on. So that's just a matter of putting them together. I have all the pieces cut sitting over here. Yeah, so the next video, that's where that will pick up. I'll get those 5 up. I'll get the remaining 8 done, and that'll be my 15 total, which will take me up to where the office wall is going to start. And then from there, it'll transition to the shorter trusses, where it'll basically go from the wall of the mezzanine here down to the roof. But yeah, everything turned out good. I'm really digging the decorative, like that looks really cool, man. I really like how that turned out. And then once I have a whole row of them here, that's going to be pretty awesome. So that's going to be it for this video. I know I'm over 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys watched to the end. Yeah, it was just a lot to do in this video, a lot to get done. But now that the templates are made, the first one is up, it should go a bit quicker, I'm hoping. But I guess we'll see. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video. Aloha.